Good morning to all. Myself Dr. TV Nagaraju. I am working as an associate professor in Department of IT, MLR Institute of Technology, Hyderabad. So in the process of handling the exception, up to now we discussed three keywords. One is try, second one is catch, and third one is finally. Now in this session we are moving to two more keywords, throw and throws. First of all, what is mean by this throw keyword? So throw keyword is used, the name specify to throw an exception explicitly. What is the meaning of explicitly? Observe the case of try block. In the try block, whenever an exception is generated, that corresponding exception object is thrown automatically to the corresponding catch block. That process is done automatically. You are not doing anything. Suppose in some cases, if you want to throw an exception explicitly, that is manually by the programmer, in that situations you are moving to throw. You got the point? See this one. We specify the exception object which is to be thrown. In the previous try block, you are not required. Automatically, the corresponding is thrown. Along with the object, you are allowed to throw some message. Suppose if an exception is occurred, which message you want to display? That message is also you can throw. Clear the point? If you want to throw an exception explicitly, you are moving to throw keyword. Okay. Generally, two types of exceptions, checked exception and unchecked exception. So, throw is used with both checked exception and unchecked exception, but mainly throw is used for user-defined exception, custom exceptions or built-in exceptions. Why? Generally, all the predefined exceptions are thrown automatically. You are not doing anything. In case of user-defined exception only, user is allowed to throw. For example, if my age is less than 18, I want to throw some exception. That is, age less than 18 is not prescribed anywhere. Suppose some other person do, if age less than 15, they may throw an exception. Now you got the point. Depending on our requirement, we can throw our exceptions. So, what is the syntax? Throw keyword followed by exception object. If you are using new means object, new exception object with some message. Now, it throws the exception object along with this particular message. Okay. Now, I will explain one program and then I will execute the program. No problem. See this one. First, I return one method. The method name is validate. I return one method. The method name is validate. It takes one parameter age. Here observe, if age value is less than 18, then I need to throw an exception. I need to throw an exception. How? See this one? Throw. Here, new arithmetic exception. Understand the scenario. Here, I am using arithmetic exception. That is a predefined exception. That is a predefined exception. So, whenever you are using this particular statement, automatically that is thrown to the previous arithmetic exception. Okay? Throw new arithmetic exception with some message. Suppose else, person is eligible to vote, some other message. Coming to the main, within the main, first I call this method. Whenever I call the method, goes to here, perform the operation. If the condition is true, it throws some message. This message is handled here. Actually, this is the predefined exception. That is the reason you are not understanding the code. Anyway, in our next session, we will discuss custom exceptions, that is user defined exceptions. There you will get the complete idea of how to use throw. Internally, this will handle. Now, I will show you the execution. Sorry. So, my simple example, public, all these are not at all required. .java and go to the command prompt. Now see this one. Here I given in my program, I given age as 10. In my given age as 10. So it goes to this method. Here 10 less than 18. 10 less than 18. Immediately it throws one exception object. It throws one exception object with some message. So what is the output? Observe the output of the program. The person is not eligible to vote. By default, it gives divided by 0. You see in the previous example. If you are passing any message, that arithmetic exception class takes this message and print the message. For example, now, in this case, no need to throw an exception. If the condition is satisfied, then only you are throwing the exception. Now, you clear the point of this throw. Throw is used to throw an exception explicitly. Anyway, you will get the better understanding whenever you are moving to user-defined exception. That is in the next session. Now, the next keyword is throws. In the simple sense, throws in the sense, for example, assume I am main method. In main method, if I call one method, from the main only you need to call the method. Suppose in the main method, I call one method. In that method, that may generate exception. If I call method M, that method may generate exception, but assume that method is not in a position to handle. That method is not in a position to handle. Then what you do? That method simply sends a message to the main. Who call that one? I am not in a position to handle. You can handle yourself. Now you got the point? The point is, whenever I call a method, that method throws an exception. Whatever the exception that is thrown, that is handled by the calling method only. That is the purpose of throws. See this one? Throws is used to declare an exception. It gives an information to the programmer that may occur an exception. That means in my program an exception may occur. Generally where you are using, that throws is used along with method signature, and ignore the exception in the current method. That is, in this method the exception is not handled. And raise a method call. Raise a method call in the sense, whenever an exception is generated, that will handle who call this particular method. See this one? Return type, name of the method. After that, throws the type of exception. Throws the type of exception. See one example. Coming to this class, in the main method, what I am doing? I am creating one object for the sample. That means I have sample, one class is there. Within the sample class, I have one method. In the sample class, I have one method. So after the method, I return throw some exception. Throw some exception. Here, this is not at all required. You can use some system.out.println message also. Now, whenever I call this method by using this one, observe here you are not doing any exception handling. Who handle? At the time of calling only, you are handle the exception. That is, the method call is placed inside the try block. Clear the point? Now, I call the method M. It goes to here. Whenever there is an exception, immediately that exception is handled here. Now you got it? That is the point of throws keyword. That is the point of throws keyword. Simply for your understanding. Just for understanding, I don't change the names. See this one. Observe, okay, class test2 throw1 is public, should be declared. Class text2 throw1. My class name is, here I written test2 throw1. Here class text2 throw1. Public class not found error. Oh, again that is the previous error. Now see this one, an exception is handled and then normal flow of the program. Here what happened? If I call this method, if there is a problem, but in my program there is no input output problem. If there is a problem, that will handle here. Okay. So exception is handled and then continue with the normal flow of the program. Now you understand what is the difference between throw and throws. Throw keyword is used to throw an exception explicitly. Throws keyword is used to say that I am not handle the exception. Whatever the method that calls, that will only handle the exception. That is, ignore the exception in the current method. Ignore the exception in the current method. In these two cases, you are using throw and throws. Anyway, if you are moving to custom exceptions, you will get the better idea of throw keyword. That we will discuss in the next session. That's the end of today's session. Thank you.